What's up, everybody? King of Fomo here, coming at you with your daily crypto update. Today we're going to be doing another quick little live stream on Pulsechain, one of the hottest things in crypto right now. And we're going to be talking about why Pulsechain, in my opinion, will not be dumping. So you have a lot of people out there that are talking a little bit about Pulsechain and giving price predictions and figuring out where Pulsechain is going to go a couple weeks from now. And what I've noticed is that the majority of people that I've watched and listened to and read talk about Pulsechain is they're expecting this upward movement and then a massive dump and then sideways movement for a while and then upward movement. So King of Fomo is going to give you a little bit of a different prediction. I predict mainly just upward movement from here on for a little bit. I think that a lot of people are going to start off priced out in Pulsechain for Pulse, and I'll give you some reasons why in a second here. Let's just give everybody a couple minutes to get joined up here. We'll also talk a little bit more about ordinals. So let me go ahead and open up a new tab for ordinals. We have OpenSea. Ordinals are doing fantastic right now. This is another one where I think that we might not have a moment where these prices go down a little bit. There's always a moment in crypto where if you're early enough, you can be part of that Genesis super early crew where things just don't dump when you buy in. So I think that that might be the case, definitely for Pulsechain as well as for these ordinals, specifically the NFT collections over here. Now, if you've been listening to my channel, I've mainly been talking about Bitamigos, right? Bitamigos is the main thing. And I've also talked a little bit about Clay Pepes too. Now, with both of these holdings, we can kind of refer back to one of my older videos about these two, but they've gone up well over 10x. At least Bitamigos are well over 10x from when I first talked about them. And Clay Pepes are, I think they're probably about maybe 2.5x of when I first started about talking about Clay Pepes. And I think these markets will continue. I think this is the beginning of ordinals, and we're going to talk a little bit more about this towards the end of the video, because I do want to focus on Pulse for this video and do like a separate video for ordinals. But the NFT space is focused sort of more on BRC20 tokens compared to ERC20 tokens or Ethereum-based NFTs. And we can see that in the data as well. All right, so let's go ahead and go back over to pulseburn.com. So this is the website, pulseburn.com. The last time we talked about this website has been updated. So you can see that there's some things up here. We have the price chart for Pulse, PulseX, Incentive, and Hex. Now we don't have to go back to PulseX and do all that math and calculations because the numbers are right here for us. They also have some really good statistics here as well, such as the sacrifice price. So many people were telling me, King of Fomo, the Pulsechain is never going to do well. I'm down 50% from when I sacrificed. And now I understand that people sacrifice at different times. When I sacrificed on day one, so I've been up for quite a while. And I think we're getting to the point where people who sacrificed on less favorable days are about up as well. So it's at about 2.2x. I think that's probably from baseline price from people who sacrificed on day one. All those people have a 2.28x for their Pulsechain. And then we have other things too, like the incentive token has been doing phenomenal. I talked about farming for you guys. I've made quite a bit, so we're going to take a look at how much I made from farming here. I think I made about $600 from farming just a couple $1,000s worth of tokens for the incentive token. And Hex is also doing quite well. Hex might be a surprise for you, those of you guys who sort of are still priced out or locked out of Pulsechain. Hex on Ethereum is probably going to do pretty well, right? It's up 15% right now. I think this is going to continue to rise with Pulsechain over time. So, this might be a really, really good buy-in opportunity for Hex if you have Ethereum. I think that it's all going to tie hand in hand. But overall, if I'm being honest with you guys, I think that Pulse is going to outperform Hex in the long run. Right, so let's take a look at the live stream, see if anybody's here. Do I know the circulating and max supply of Pulse? All right, so Black Sun, we're going to talk a little bit about that. And that's why I'm sort of making this video. I'm making this video because I wanted to talk about the fact that Pulsechain doesn't really have an upper limit. So I think a lot of people who are making their price predictions are looking at things like market cap. They're looking at things like max supply. They're looking at things like distribution of wallets. And I think, to be honest, just like with Hex, normal coin analysis doesn't work for Pulsechain. It doesn't work for Pulse. I think that just like with Hex, a lot of like, you couldn't really predict the market cap of Hex. You couldn't really predict the top for Hex. You couldn't really predict the all-time high price for Hex. Nobody got that right from the get-go. And a lot of it is because of that origin address and just some funky dynamics with the tokenomics of Hex overall. Predicting that coin was near next to impossible for where it could go. And I think that Pulsechain is in a similar position. So that's why I'm not looking at I'm not looking super close at the market cap or the circulating supply or anything like that, because Pulsechain is also pretty wonky when it comes to all of those numbers. And I think that that's what's going to really mess people up when it comes to making their predictions about where this thing is going to go and how this thing is going to move in the short term and in the long term, right? So I mean, Hex was, in my opinion, Hex is a risky degen coin, and I think that Pulsechain is the same thing. It's a risky degen coin, so definitely a lot of gains to be made, and probably more than you might predict, more than you might think. So that's my answer to that. I'm not even going to really look too much at that. We might look at it a little bit just for kicks and giggles, but if you're trying to make predictions for Pulse, I would say don't bother. Yeah. So other things to look at here: the bridge is 48% clear, so the thing is moving much faster. And this is another thing to note, is that this percentage is actually quite a bit higher. I think about a day and a half ago, there was $60 million deposited into the bridge. So in about 48 hours, something like that, we've had maybe 36 hours, we've had almost all of that get processed. So $45 million have been processed. The reason why this bridge is not going faster is because there's just more and more being deposited every couple seconds here. So we're at $94 million being deposited in the system. And again, I think that the majority of this $94 million is buy pressure, and we can see that down here. We talked about this yesterday. The fact that you have all of this right here, this 45% of the Hex, 63% of that 45% of Hex, or 63% of that 384 million Hex is in the liquidity pools. Same with DAI, 22%, which is kind of low in my opinion. Same with USDC, 31%, 48% of ETH, and 68% of USDT. This is all in liquidity pools. And the thing you have to understand is, in order to get in a liquidity pool for Pulse, you have to pair it with most likely one of these coins, right? Most likely Pulse or PulseX or Hex. And in order to pair it with one of those coins up here, you have to buy those coins. You have to buy 50% of whatever you moved over here has to be bought, unless you already own the Pulse from the sacrifice. So that is, again, what I said yesterday, that is the reason why we're seeing such an increase in the price. And I think it's going to continue until we get to this maxed out bridge, this 100% of the bridge right here. Let me see here some other numbers that we can take a look at. Yeah, it looks like the lowest percent numbers on here are USDT, and I guess Hex, followed by ETH. Yeah, these are some low numbers. I think that once we get a lot more of this processed, we're really going to start to see the price move. And then I think the really next interesting point for Pulsechain is going to be, once the bridge is completely synced, then what's going to happen. Because at this point, I don't really see too many people, quote unquote, cashing out, right, taking their profits and leaving. It's just, I don't see it happening from what I'm looking at on chain. But when we do get to 100% synced bridge and things are working smoothly for bridging back and forth to Ethereum, that will be interesting to see how many people are prepped and ready to cash out their earnings. Or even when we get to the centralized exchanges listing Pulsechain, that will be another interesting thing to see. WETH Pulse Farm is nice. Yeah, so we can talk about farming. Let's go to farming. farming has been really, really lucrative for people. No matter what you've been doing, if you've been holding your incentive tokens, you're like real good. If you've been selling every couple hours or so, you're still pretty good, right? You had some really bad APRs for a little bit when the incentive token was like dumped down. Incentive has gone up a lot in the past day. So let's compare it. So incentive token is currently worth $28, almost $30. I think this was like $4 earlier. Let's look at the 24 hour. Yeah, it's up 250%. So that's what, 2x? No, it's like 3x. So this was like $6-8 yesterday. So if you held these tokens, and people are getting a lot, right? Just for putting it in the farm for a little bit, you're getting. I mean, let's look at the calculator. I have what, $8,000, $9,000 here overall. So my strategy, in case you guys want to know, I have been keeping about maybe a fourth, not even a fourth, like a fifth of all of my pulse is in the farms, right? And we can see here that I only have it in one farm because I didn't want to spread my liquidity amongst different farms just because gas fees are really high. And if I'm in 6 different farms, it costs me $6 to take out from all those farms and an extra $1 to sell those tokens. So I wanted to keep it all in one good performing pool and get lucky with that, hopefully. And every day I'm making about this much, right? This is a real number right here from this 9K that's in here. I'm making that much per day, right? From my balance right here. And you guys can do some calculations if you're like, man, this is a really good rate. How much do I need to put in to make $1,000 per day? Well, there's your number. This is what you need in your liquidity pool to make $1,000 per day. So you can sort of decide how much you want to make per day and get that every single day from farming. Now, this has sort of surprised me. I've been expecting the incentive token to sort of continuously dump, but it's doing really well. Maybe it's just today, right? We could see these APRs drop a lot if the incentive token goes down in value a lot. But if the incentive token stays the same, or, you know, even if we get lucky and the incentive token goes up even more in value, then your ROI is going to go up even higher. So I've been very happy with this. Now, even if you're not farming, don't like FOMO into farming right away, because if you haven't been farming, chances are you probably have been making more actually from holding Pulse, right? Pulse is up 32% in the past day, and that might be a little bit more than what you would have gotten from putting it into the farm. So either way, people are happy on both sides. People are happy doing their farms. People are happy holding Pulse. And my sort of strategy is I'm farming with about 1/5 of all of my Pulsechain sacrifice, and I'm also compounding that, right? So every couple hours I'm harvesting, and this is, you should only really do this if it's conducive to the gas fees, right? Gas fees are about $1 a piece to click buttons, but for me it's conducive to gas fees. So I'm compounding, I'm pressing harvest, and then I'm splitting that up amongst, I'm in the DAI Ethereum liquidity pool, splitting that up amongst DAI and Pulse, and I'm putting it back in. So that's my strategy, but that doesn't mean everyone should FOMO into DAI Ethereum. Look at these rates and then pick the one that you think has the best rates. Honestly, right now, if you could do USDT Ethereum, these rates are a lot better, and these have been the best for a while, right? USDT Pulse, and these are some new ones right here. So you have incentive token Pulse and incentive token PulseX. So this is for even more compounding there, ladies and gentlemen. And I think this might be the reason why the token price went up so much, because they added pools to make incentive with incentive. This won't last forever though, guys. So if you do get into that incentive pool, just be careful, because I think that one might be the most risky with volatility and permanent loss. Maybe. But yeah, Pulsechain performing extremely well. And like I said before, honestly, whenever you see the majority of people in crypto say that something is going to happen, generally that thing does not happen. And that's one of the reasons why I'm like even more bullish on Pulsechain because everyone that I've listened to or seen talk about Pulse is expecting a dump in Pulse. They're expecting a big dump. They want to load up on that dip. That's what most Pulse fanatics think, and most people in Pulsechain think is that, man, this is gonna dump soon. These prices can't hold up, and then they're gonna buy back in, and then they're gonna reposition themselves, compound, and do all that. So that's why, my typical strategy of don't listen to the masses. If the masses say that a dump is gonna happen for Pulse, I don't think a dump is gonna happen. I think this thing is gonna kind of rocket up. And I think that people will be priced out. People who are waiting for the dump will be priced out significantly. Those are my thoughts. I could be wrong, though. I've been wrong about many, many things in the past. We could see a dump. And if it does dump, hey, it might not be a bad thing. You might be able to do those load ups and to scoop up the bottom if you're looking forward to that. But yeah, so far Pulsechain is performing pretty well. But I still do have my concerns that I talked about before of like, do we really need this, right? And I think about that for all EVM chains. Do we really need this? Is this really going to survive? Is this really something that people want to do? And I guess you can come to the conclusion of this. Like, the Binance Smart Chain is the same thing as Pulsechain, right? And so is Avalanche and all these other EVM clones. And I think the value from these chains come from are people using it, right? Come from the number of active users, right? That's where the value of the chain comes in. If you have a ton of active daily users, then your chain is worth a lot, right? And your coin for your chain is worth a lot. For Binance Smart Chain, it's BNB is worth a lot. We can take a look at some other things too. What's another EVM chain, right? BNB's ranked number 4 right here, worth quite a bit. What's another one? Polygon. Daily active users, quite a bit in Polygon. Maybe not the best, but still one of the best. And it's worth number 10, right? And I think that if Pulsechain can capture that, I think that that's really the main thing that Pulsechain needs to do. It doesn't need to do anything else. It can just be an Ethereum clone with less gas fees, or with cheaper gas fees. And I think that if it captures the users, it will be successful. If it captures the users and the developers, that is the main two things that Pulsechain needs to be a real competitor to your other EVM chains like BNB, like Matic, like Avalanche, and let's see, is there another one on down this list? Chronos. Yeah, to be a competitor to all these, that's all it needs. And I think Pulsechain is in a unique position to be sort of set up with a lot of that stuff from the get-go. A lot of times when these EVM chains launch, they don't have any support or any community, and the only support and community they have are people that are looking to capitalize on it, right? Capitalize on the farming rewards and make a lot of money and get out, right? I think that Pulsechain is in a unique position where you have a lot of people in this ecosystem that actually believe in the ecosystem, whether you call them Kool-Aid drinkers or not. There are people that will have a higher chance of not just milking the system for all it's worth, which is what happens to a lot of other EVM chains. I mean, one of them that I'm thinking of is Evmos. Evmos has had an extremely lucrative staking system since its launch, and I talked about this when it first launched too. Extremely lucrative, right? You make tons from staking Evmos, and it didn't really have a community that was built really strong behind it. So the majority of the people that you have in Evmos are vampires, right? That term right there are people who are going to take advantage of that money-making system, who are going to suck up all the funds out of it. And lo and behold, that is pretty much what happened with Evmos. That's pretty much what is happening with Evmos. You've had people sucking the money out of the system for a very long time and not putting anything in, right? If they're putting anything in, they're buying in to suck more out. That's why it's at its all-time low. Pretty much every day for the past month, it's been hitting all-time low. And that's going to continue for Evmos until their rewards become less lucrative, which is either when the price of the coin dumps too far or when the emissions stop. And then it might have a chance again. It might have a chance to gain its community, right? Pulsechain doesn't, right now at least, it doesn't look like it has that problem. I don't think that people are gonna dump the crap out of it, because there are people that believe in it from the user standpoint and people that believe in it from the developer standpoint. There's a lot of developers that want to capitalize on this, right? Daily active users, that's all you need. When you have daily active users, you also have interest in developers coming here, right? We've seen it happen with meme coins. When you have daily active users with meme coins, you can get instantly listed on Binance, even if you don't have any team or any reputability. I mean, look at Pepe, right? That's all it takes in the world of crypto right now, right? Hopefully in the future that changes to something more valuable. But daily active users is the most important thing right now. Caspa Community Whale. I've been looking at Caspa for a long time as well. Caspa is also dumping because they launched I guess they have a new miner from Bitmain. I was like, man, let me get that Ice River miner. Then Bitmain announced their miner. Like, let me get that Bitmain miner. I'm thinking, like, I did the calculations on Caspa. I'm like, if I fork up that much money on one of those miners, and it would be my first one, I'd be like, it's gonna take me like 6 months to pay it off, and that's if the price stays the same. So I have a hard time convincing myself to jump into the mining space with the Caspa miner. I think it would be it could end up being a really, really bad decision for buying that. Anyway, that's your question, Caspa miner. What people don't realize is this: the price of wrapped assets are very high on PulseX, so selling Pulse for wrapped assets doesn't make sense. But buying Pulse with wrapped assets does, which will moon it. Let me see. I'm trying to think about what you mean, because I thought it was the opposite. I thought wrapped assets were like cheap on Pulse, right? I guess it's kind of hard to it's kind of hard to calculate. Pulse's price in general is just hard to really wrap my head around as far as the realistic price of Pulse. But I think that you're sort of right with wrapped assets having weird prices over on Pulsechain. I think that there's a lot of arbitrage opportunity. If you take Pulse out of the equation altogether, you just look at the wrapped assets, there's a lot of like arbitrage opportunity for people that bridge over and just like trade ETH for USDT and USDT for USDC and all that stuff. I'm doing the DAI pool. Yeah, so yeah, yesterday ETH was, yeah, and I did, that's what I did yesterday, Joe. I capitalized on that. I saw that ETH was real cheap, so I exchanged a lot of the DAI that I had for ETH and some Pulse I exchanged for ETH, and I made like 50% on, not 50%, it was like 25%. I made like 25% from trading DAI for ETH. Caspa community said your DAI is worth $8,000, so that means you will get a lot of Pulse for one DAI. Yes. Let me go back to my stuff over here. So yeah, we can take a look at some of the charts. Let's look at the charts here. So this is the Pulse DAI chart. Yeah, it's still difficult for me to like conceptualize and wrap my head around these prices as they're sort of finding their real middle ground. Once we have more assets bridged over and things are a little more normal looking, I think that people who are not good at doing price math like that will be able to make better strategies. But yeah, if you're moving funds around too much on Pulsechain, especially large amounts of funds, you might be wrecking yourself if you're buying cheap stuff expensive or expensive stuff cheap or vice versa. So you do have to be a little careful when you're jumping into those wrapped assets that aren't Pulse, PulseX, or maybe Hex. Hex is a weird one too. Hex is very volatile compared to Pulse and PulseX. Yeah, but Pulse currently sitting at pretty much its all-time high right now. Continues to move up. I like, this is what King of Fomo thinks. King of Fomo thinks that this line is gonna keep going up and up and up. And I was like, I was trying to make price predictions on this, and I was like, let me stop. let me stop. I was trying to look at supplies and everything like that, But I ran into some issues with trying to figure out like what the supply is, how much is actually circulating, how much is part of the sacrifice, all that stuff. And I just came to the conclusion that the number's going to probably go up over time. Alright, let's look at Pulsechain a little bit more here. I won't be logged on for too much longer. I have stuff to do. I'm going to go to the gym. But I'm also sort of interested in, well, I don't really care about the other, right now I don't care about other tokens on Pulse. I know that there's some stuff that's launching, like, here's the Milady coin, your Ape coin, your Pepe, and people have been making some money, like with the Doge coin. People have been kind of making some chunks of change with that. Pulse Kita. Yeah, some of these coins right here. Big PP coin. Anybody buying into any of this stuff? Zen's also doing really well today. I'm not sure what the deal is with Zen today, but Zen is one of the top gainers. Top 1,000 coins, up 19% today. I don't know what's going on with that today. Something must have launched on Zen. Actually, you know what? It might have been Phoenix. I think Phoenix launched today. I could be wrong. This is not a Zen video. I gotta brush up on Zen a little bit. Phoenix. Yeah. I don't remember when this one launched. I'm not gonna waste my time looking for this. I'll look for this another day. Back to Pulse. Yeah, so that's my strategy, and it's working out pretty nicely. I am wondering, am I? I'm still wondering, am I selling my incentive token for too cheap here? At $30? I think $30 is expensive for the incentive token. For how much is being paid out, I think that's a overpriced incentive token. But I could be wrong. I was wrong about the fact that it didn't go down. It went up a lot. And maybe that's, I don't know if that's Richard Hart buying up incentive tokens, or if somebody else is buying them up, or maybe it was these new pools that launched, and they had like stupid crazy high APRs. Anybody have an idea? Win Shib Moon. Shib on Shib on Pulse, or Shiba Inu on Ethereum? I can't keep track of all the meme coins on Pulse. There's too many. Let's see. Pulse coin, Shiba Inu. Yeah, these things are so crazy, because you can buy in on them and then you can get a minus 88% in a day, or you can get a plus 7,000% in a day with your Pepe and Whale token. Yeah, but hey, if you got some extra Pulse, it might be worth dropping a couple bucks in some of these things for the quick gains. And this is like, it reminds me of 3 or 4 years ago when Ethereum was kind of new with new tokens, and BSC was kind of new with new tokens, and Polygon's kind of new. It's really, really easy for you to like make easy gains with some of these tokens when there's a small amount, right? In Ethereum, this is one of the reasons why I don't mess with too many altcoins that launch in Ethereum. The amount of altcoins in Ethereum is so high that you have a much higher chance of just not making that much with newly launched coins on Ethereum. Over here on Pulsechain, well, chances are pretty high. You pick a coin that launched, and you probably double your funds very quickly. You might lose everything quickly, but you have a much higher chance of doubling your coins very quickly. All right. Pepe. Zen, Doge, and Phoenix big day tomorrow. Oh, that's what it is. Yeah, I gotta brush up on that. There's so much stuff about, like, I'm not caught up on Zen for the past couple of weeks about crazy coins like Twerk and Richard. Yeah, see, like, if you're taking risks like that, I don't have time because I'm too busy with other stuff to, like, that's the other thing. If you buy these meme coins, you gotta, like, really stay, your eyeballs gotta be glued to the screen to make sure you know when to jump out. If it goes up like 7,000%, it's probably time to jump out, right? But let's see, what are the two that you said you bought? You bought Twerk? Yeah, Twerk's up 1,000%, right? There you go. You got yourself a nice little 10x right there, if you bought in the very beginning. And what's the other one? Baby Richard Hart? Is that what you got? Something like that? Jeez Louise. Yeah, maybe I'll do a video on these meme coins that are launching here on Pulse, because if you can look at the Explorer and see what's coming out, you can snipe them, and then you can make boo bucks from sniping these coins real early. That's when you can actually get the 2,000% gains or the 7,000% gains, because most people don't get 7,000%. Most people get like plus 30%, plus 50%, because they buy a lot later than it launches. But if you can observe the Explorer and kind of see what's coming out here, then yeah, you might be able to make some gains with that. Pulsechain. Let's see if we can do that real quick. If we go to tokens, all, or maybe we're gonna go to Pulsechain tokens. No, that's not it. Maybe this is it. There's got to be a way to look at new tokens on Pulse, because there's the copy tokens. I don't want to look at the copy tokens. I want to look at the brand spanking new tokens, baby. All right, verified contracts. I guess this is probably it right here. Then crypto token locker, filter by. I don't know. I'm gonna have to look at this later. So yeah, they got some pretty good contracts on here already. Hourglass. I'm gonna have to look and see what are the dApps worth looking at in Pulsechain, because that's probably the next thing to sort of capitalize on if you're looking for some crazy hyper fast gains. Thoughts on Phoenix? I'm gonna have to give you my thoughts on Phoenix another day. I have to get caught up on Phoenix. BNB launch tomorrow. But I did make a video about it, so those are my current thoughts on Phoenix. I think that Phoenix is a nice addition to Zen. The Zen ecosystem is really good at just supporting the crap out of itself. So glad you sacked. Yeah. That's the thing, Mr. T. I had a lot of people, like the past couple of days, I've been doing live streams saying they were upset that they sacrificed and they're down so much. I'm like, give it a couple days. And sure enough, people that sacrificed, they're in some nice profits. And people that didn't sacrifice are probably still waiting for their funds to be bridged over. Meme go up like crazy, sometimes hard to get in and get out. Yeah, you gotta really stay glued to your computer or your phone or whatever if you're doing meme coins, because you can have that 7,000% gain and then it dumps 99%. That usually doesn't happen, but it can dump pretty fast, like within an hour. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I might be signing off here in a little bit. So, quick little live stream. I wanted to talk a little bit about ordinals for those of you. Some of you guys are just like only interested in Pulse, but ordinals are definitely something you want to keep an eye on too. If you've, like, I know some of you hate NFTs, and I'm one of them. I think NFTs are stupid for the most part. And I also think BRC20 tokens are ridiculous. Right? These are just, they don't make sense. But the other thing you have to realize is that BRC20 tokens and ordinals, for the most part, are sort of in beta phase, right? So you can get utility out of this stuff. So I'm probably going to look at BRC20 tokens again this weekend to see if any of them have conceptualized any utility yet. Otherwise, I would avoid these things. Now, the NFTs, these have like some crazy volume and stuff. Let me see here. I don't know if this doesn't tell the whole story. People are showing websites on Twitter of like the full volume, because this is just the volume on Ordinal's wallet, but people trade these things on Magic Eden and other places too. So the volume is a little bit higher than this, but 15 Bitcoin worth of volume in 7 days is very, very good. Let's see, Bitcoin is what? $26,000 times 15. It's $390,000 of volume in 7 days. And I think that these things are very in such the beginning phases. I'm telling you, if you guys have slept on ordinals, don't sleep on them for very long. Right now, I'm sort of, oh man, I've been waiting actually for the past day. I haven't bought any ordinals. I've been buying ordinals nonstop for like the past week, and then yesterday I stopped because I was like, let me see if these things are going to go down. I don't want to buy these things for too expensive. I got a lot of these things for really, really cheap. So I'm prepared to sell for profit for most of them. I might look for some new ones, or I don't know, I'm trying to stay plugged into the communities too, because it looks like these things, they're not slowing down. A lot of people thought that ordinals were just a fad and they were going to go away really quickly. But I think that Bitcoin and the smart contracts on Bitcoin and DeFi on Bitcoin, I don't think that's going away, right? I think if it was going to go away, it would have happened already. There's a lot of people that were fudding it and saying the Bitcoin Foundation is going to kill this because it makes the gas fees too high. But I don't know. I think that as we've seen in the past, stupid, crazy high gas fees usually are very, very good for the price of the coin. And if the price of the coin goes up, usually people do not complain that much. But we'll see. We will see with ordinals. I'll make my non-live stream video on ordinals probably tonight. Give you guys an update on how that's performing overall. But yeah, I bought these things for cheap. I had to see exactly what my old videos were. But Bitamigos, these are worth, how much are these worth right now? These are worth $96. $96. And when I first started talking about these things were worth $5 a piece. Right? So if you bought 10 of these things, you just made yourself $1,000 for the price of $50. Right? Not too bad. Yeah, this is a good website. This website gives a lot of statistics. They have the validators here. That's another thing I was thinking about doing, because I have an Ethereum validator, and I have a hard time convincing myself to do this too. But I'm thinking about buying another machine to become a Pulsechain validator. Right, to become a Pulsechain validator. And that's another thing that I was looking at the price, like, man, compared to Ethereum, these prices are really low. It's really cheap to run a validator on Pulsechain. Because right now, let's take a look. How much is one validator on Pulsechain? One validator is 32 million tokens. 32 million tokens. I guess this is sort of getting expensive now. So yeah, one validator is about $7,000 for Pulsechain. On Ethereum, it's like $60,000. Now the downside to Pulsechain validators is their earnings are low. Right, they don't make that much. And I've been trying to look at it and see, like, with Ethereum, when you propose a block, it makes a lot of it worth it, because blocks, like, if you propose a block, you can get like 0.3 Ethereum, which is, I don't know, $400 or $500 for just proposing that block in Ethereum. And it makes it worth it really fast, because even if your rewards are kind of low, you might get like I forget how much, like $10-15 a day from one validator. If you propose that block and you get $400 in that one day, and you propose it like one block every couple months, it makes up for it, right? It makes up for a small number. But I can't figure out, and you guys probably don't know this either, but I can't figure out how much a block reward is for Pulsechain, because this Explorer doesn't work good. Right? It's sort of broken. I gotta do it this way. So if I go to, you guys probably are not familiar with this website at all, but it's okay. I'll teach you right now. If I look at my validators, And I'm going to go to an index that's very low because these guys probably produced a lot of blocks because they're the first validators on the network. So if I go to this guy, number 13 right here, it's been active for 8 days. I look at the blocks this guy produced. So he produced it. Already he's produced. And this is the other thing for Pulsechain. Like if you're one of the first people to produce a block, you get a lot from it. 1 second, guys. Hold on. Let's see here. So if I go here, fee recipient is this. So this guy's burning his rewards. But it doesn't say what the reward is. This is what will make it worth it for me. Like, I don't want to buy a super expensive machine and not get rewarded. I probably wouldn't burn my rewards. I would keep them. But how much? Like, what is this? What is this? What is this? It say 0. So that's what's stopping me from getting into the validator business for Pulsechain. And then if you look at the attestations, because you don't just get block rewards, you get attestate rewards for testing. That is, I think these numbers are wrong too. Like it's, I can't figure out what's going on with this these validators. Because if you look at any of the validators, their daily amounts like negative. They're losing on a daily amount. I'm not sure if those numbers are just inaccurate because the calculations are wrong on the website, or if people are genuinely losing Pulse on the daily. Right, this guy's balance is, this guy only made 838 Pulse in 8 days. In terms of validating and purchasing a machine, that's not good. That's not good enough for me to spend $1,000 on a machine. Right. But if these things do get better, I think it would be worth it. But another thing you can look at, and you guys are probably so confused by this, but by looking at this, validators are supposed to continue to attest, which gives them rewards. If they miss attestations because the internet goes down or some sort of problem happens, randomly sometimes, they lose some funds. And this is like a lot. Why is this number so big? Is it because there's not that many validators in the system? But this like pretty much negates all of the day's gains for just having this happen. And this happens for, if you click on any validator, this happens like every 2 pages, right? It just like erases all the rewards. So I don't know what's going on there. I have to see what the validator community for Pulsechain are saying about that. Is this live, bro? This is live, bro. Ticker filter. Trick filter. Oh, you're talking about, I went back to here. We were looking at this. The filter by. I'll figure out how to do this later. I'm not going to look at this now. This is going to take me too long to figure out. But I'll probably make a separate video about sniping coins later for Pulsechain if I can figure it out. Can you explain how newcomers buy Pulse to actually start using the Pulsechain network? I talked about this yesterday. I don't know what the official answer is. But I think what I was looking at is that some people are bridging. Let me go here. This might be the answer in the future. This is not the official answer, so give me a couple of days to figure it out what the official answer is. But I think some people are bridging their Pulsechain, right? They're bridging their Pulsechain Pulse tokens to Ethereum, right? And when you do that, you should be able to purchase Pulse on the Ethereum network and then bridge it back over to the Pulsechain network. I have to look in exactly how to do that, but I'm pretty sure that's the way for people to get in here, because the faucet, it doesn't give you enough Pulse to transact. But I'm fairly certain. You gotta look into like exactly what the real token address for Pulsechain on Ethereum is. Maybe you can trade it on Uniswap, get some Pulse over and then just bridge a little bit of Pulse over, right? Because you probably don't want to buy a crap ton of Pulse on Ethereum because you're going to get messed up with prices. So just bridge enough over for gas fees, and then bridge your normal tokens over for what you actually want to buy in Pulse. So you bridge like $100 of USDC, and then like $5 or $8 worth of Pulse. You buy $5 or $8 worth of Pulse and bridge that over. And then you use your $100 of USDC on Pulsechain to purchase more Pulse. That, I think, is probably going to be the way how to do this. Again, maybe I'll make a separate video and not a live stream video on how to do that later. I have to verify that that is possible, but I'm fairly certain that that is going to be the way. But again, you still have to wait because you have to wait until the bridge gets cleared up. It goes faster. So no matter what you do, if you don't have Pulsechain right now, it's going to be a couple days unless you can get someone to send you gas fees to mess with the system. Oh, DEX screener filter. I see what you mean. So to find new tokens on Pulsechain, maybe I can figure this out real quick. Rank and filter. Yeah, I guess you could do it this way. There's probably a way to do it this way. You could probably go to DexChain, use these filters right here, and maybe look at your makers, and this is like the new stuff right here. You got Pulse Doge. Or look at your number of transactions. It's going to be low right there. So I guess that's one way to do it. Use Dex Screener, look at the tokens with small amounts of transactions, and those are your new coins that you can potentially snipe. Pulse Doge, there's a new one. Someone just mentioned that in the chat earlier. Only 241 transactions. Yeah, I gotta look at that later. I'm not prepared to teach people that. 40 million is nice, bro. You got enough for a validator? You know, I have enough for about 6 validators. But still, I don't want to. I don't want to purchase. I don't want to spend $1,000 on a validator machine and have it make nothing in terms of money. I want to turn a profit with my validator machine. You have a lot of Hex too. Yeah, Hex. If you got Hex, like I said, some people are like, man, I can't get into Pulsechain. Hex is a nice alternative right now because I don't want to get too much into price predictions for Hex, but I think most people are going to bridge their Hex over from Ethereum over to Pulsechain because you can do a lot with it over here. And I'm certain that more apps will be developed for you to do a lot with it. But right now, I think I need to bridge my Hex over, actually. I'm probably going to do that after this video. But right here, you have a farm right here, Hex from Ethereum, with Pulse liquidity pools, right? You can get some nice APR from incentive tokens from bridging your Hex over. I think a lot of people are probably going to do that and just use Hex over here in this system. So Hex is a good buy. Hex is real cheap right now compared to what was Hex's all-time high? Anybody know? Anybody remember? It's a lot higher than it was right now. About 10x higher, 45 cents, 50 cents. Right now it's at 3 cents. I think Hex has a lot of room to grow. But if I were you, personally, how about this? If you had the choice, I know some people just don't have the choice. If you had the choice, I would choose Pulse over Hex. But if you don't have the choice, Hex is still good. Taking eHex out of circulation. Yeah, I think a lot of people are going to bridge the eHex over to Pulse. I think it would be silly for the people to keep it on Ethereum for too long. Cheap for sure. Let's see, what's the cheapest Hex has been? Yeah, in the past 30 days, this is why Hex is a good buy right now. In the past 30 days, we're still at like pretty much all-time low levels right here. 26 cents or 2.6 cents is the super low amount. Let's go back even further. Yeah, look at this. This is the cheapest it's been. Man, Hex is a easy buy right now. Honestly, if you have Ethereum right now and you have no idea what to do with it, scoop up some of that Hex. Because, I mean, a couple days ago I wouldn't have told you to do that because we were unsure of how Pulse was going to perform. But if Pulse performs well, which it currently is, I think that no doubt Hex will perform well. And right now, Hex is still performing very, very badly compared to its history. So it's got some catching up to do. But I think that with Pulse doing well, it's going to get that catch up real fast. Right? It's performing disproportionately poorly compared to what it should be performing right now with this excessive pulse at the current moment. Price prediction for Hex. That's another one. I can't do it. These are the only coins. Like, I can give you price predictions for any other coin out there, but for Hex and for Pulse, I'm not even gonna try. There's so much weird stuff happening with the tokenomics of both of those coins that I think it's silly when people make price predictions. I think it's impossible to tell. Who knows if it can go back up to 35 cents or if it'll go up to higher or half as much. I have no idea. Stakes are cloned. Yeah, stakes. People are staking over there on Hex or on Pulse. That's another thing. Like that's Hex already has some utility over there on Pulse. Icosa. I don't know what Icosa is. Icosa is a Hex derivative. Oh, I think I've heard of it. I just don't know too much about it. I saw it over here and there. Icosa. Yeah, here it is. Icosa. 600 transactions, about 55%, 60% today. So yeah, there's a lot of tokens on Pulsechain that personally I have to look into and see what they're all about. Because I mean, yeah, a lot of these things are meme coins. Most of them are, but some of them are real projects, right? So I gotta look into Icosa. I'll write that down and look into that a little more. Alright guys, that's everything for today. Thanks for watching. Maybe we'll do another live stream tonight in a few hours when I get back from the gym. But I'll probably just make some videos on ordinals and make more specific tutorials on Hex and Pulse. Catch you guys in the next video. Like, comment, subscribe. If you're not a Patreon, consider becoming a Patreon. You're going to get access to my gem videos, like these ordinal stuff, earlier than everyone else on here on YouTube. And if you like me, if you don't think it's going to be worth it, then please don't subscribe to that Patreon. Hex derivative, founder's legit. Yeah, I've heard of Icosa. It's been in somewhere in the back of my head, but I gotta look into it. Pixel Pepes, yeah, big. We were talking about ordinals earlier. Pixel Pepes. I don't have any Pixel Pepes. I have Bit Amigos and I have Clay Pepes. And what I've started doing is I've been waiting for these ordinals to go down a little bit, right? I'm waiting for people to sort of forget about them for a couple days. And I'm waiting to scoop up a few more, because I bought a lot of these things. I don't want to buy them too expensive when we're going to have a little dip. So that's what I'm waiting for ordinals. Who knows, that might not happen though. Alright guys, I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll keep an eye on that Icosa. A lot of people are talking about Icosa here. Peace out.